So, what are the top things that home buyers are looking for in today's market? We're going to be talking about that specifically, the top two things that home buyers are looking for. My name is Alan Richardson. I'm the managing broker here at Maxwell and Realtor and Realtor Partners. So, there's a recent study out there, and it says that the top two things that our buyers are looking for currently in our market is that one, they're looking for lower prices. 63% are looking for lower prices, and over half are looking for lower mortgage rates. And we're in a very interesting place in our market right now where we actually have a lot to offer buyers. However, a lot of them don't realize that yet. So I want to start off by talking a little bit about mortgage rates, right? So right now, mortgage rates are currently at the lowest level in over a year, actually in a couple of years now. And so they have moved around a little bit, but right now, mortgage rates coming in somewhere around 6.18, 6.19, somewhere in that range. And that's for your conventional loans. You're going to find government loans, VAs, FHAs in the high to mid sixes. So we're seeing 5.6 or seeing 5.6, 5.7, 5.8, somewhere in that range. And so we have a lot of mortgages that are coming out right now under 6%. And that's a really good place for our buyers because it really has kind of improved the affordability for a lot of our buyers. So now part of the reason why this is going on is because, like, for forever, basically mortgage rates move in unison with the 10-year treasury. And so as the 10-year treasury moves, so moves the 30-year mortgage rate. Now, the difference between those two is called the spread. And the spread is the difference between what a 10-year treasury versus what a 30-year mortgage rate is. Normally, it's about 1.75. However, over the last couple of years, it's been almost 2.5, 2.6%. But what we've seen is that spread kind of shrinking down. Right now, the spread is running 2.25% more. And basically, most people just kind of consider that to be the risk the market is currently seeing. And so as the market senses less risk, that spread tightens up a little bit. So that's part of the reason why we're seeing some improvement over, as time goes on. Now, a lot of folks will tie heavily to the Treasury, to what's happening with the Fed and those rates. So the Fed does control, the federal funds rate, the lending rate. However, and it does impact real estate to a certain degree. It impacts 30-year mortgage rates, but not as directly. Matter of fact, the last three times that the Fed has lowered mortgage rates or lowered the federal funds rate, it actually increased mortgage rates just a little bit. And largely because the market already prices these things in. It already figures, okay, that this rate cut is coming, those kind of things. So it will do that for weeks ahead of time, just because they kind of sense that whole thing going on. So, well, as soon as I figure out where I'm at here, all right. So the good news here is that lower mortgage rates are improving affordability for our buyers. And that is a very powerful place for us to be. We're really glad to kind of see that kind of going on. Currently, over the last 4 months, monthly payments are down almost $300 a month. That's just the average median payment. So overall, we're seeing where mortgage rates are softening, improving. They're some of the best rates that we've seen actually for quite a long time, and that's a really good place for our buyers. So now our buyers are saying, "Look, we want lower mortgage rates. We have lower mortgage rates right now." Now, the other thing that's going on is what's happening with inventory, and so we have seen, especially through this whole summer, inventory that has been increasing. Now, new listings are still up, but they're not up nearly as much as they were. So we were running 20 and 30% up over last year in new listings, currently running roughly about 14, 15% more new listings. But that number really is starting to taper down. The other thing that's tapering down is and it's good news, but it's also kind of indicative of where we are in the market right now. And that is total inventory. Our total active listings. Total active listings is still up about 20% more this year than 1 year ago. So that means that we have 20% more houses to offer our buyers. And that's a really good thing that we have going on. Now, for our sellers, they would much rather that the inventory was tighter. And so because we've seen this inventory increasing, that's causing prices to really kind of level off. We're seeing very, very flat overall on the pricing. So this increased inventory, it is good to see. Now, one thing I do want to point out is that even though we have more inventory this year than we had last year, we are still running about 5% less total inventory than we were pre-COVID. So even though it's been over 5 years, we still have, and we've been doing a lot more things, making babies, all that kind of stuff. All those things are still continuing to happen. We have a larger population, but we still have 5% less listings. And that's why we're seeing prices flatten. We're not really seeing prices overall fall off. They are flattening. Now, days on market, this is a big one here. Days on market really has been shooting up. And so right now, our average days on market is around 72 days on market. That is like what happens when you have listings that sit on the market for 2.5 months. We have a lot more sellers willing to negotiate on a lot of different things. Overall, sales prices, like I said, are really, really flat. It's somewhere in the flat range. However, when you look at this time of year where we're at, October, November, December, that kind of stuff, we tend to have more more sellers during that time than tend to have buyers. And so we tend to get a lot more people willing to negotiate. And that's a really good thing for those buyers who are, again, looking for lower mortgage rates that we talked about, and they're looking for better pricing. So we're seeing overall where that's happening. We're sitting on about 4.8 months of standing inventory, and that's a good thing. Now, what we're seeing is we're seeing more inventory at the higher price points, and we're still not seeing enough inventory. Really, like if you look under 250, it's still a bit of a seller's market. 250 to 700 pretty flat. Then we're seeing more of a buyer's market once you get up over 700 right now. So as far as like what things that we see happening in the marketplace, right now, 1 in 5 sellers is dropping their price right now. And so this time of year, that's a very normal thing. But for our buyers, right? They got more houses to choose from. They have less competition coming in from other buyers. They've got a little bit more time to kind of look at. They're seeing softer prices. And so, in addition to seeing more people are going on, we're seeing a lot of things happening in the marketplace. Because as these interest rates are coming down, we're seeing more people jump in. We're seeing more activity for this time of year now than we did this time of year, or this activity level this time of year, if that made any sense. But what we're seeing is we're seeing a lot more buyer and activity going on, and that's a really good sign. But that's starting to gobble up some of that inventory that we said is tapering off. We are looking for next year to be a much better year. We sold around 4 million houses for the last couple of years. We're expecting them to sell around 4,600,000, 4,700,000, which is a pretty significant jump next year. 10 to 15% increase would be really, really great to see us jump in overall number of units moving. And so, like still every day in the U.S. housing market, we still sell 11,000 houses every single day. So like, don't think that the market's not doing well. We have a lot of great activity going on out there. The fact that the top two things that buyers say that they're looking for is something that we can offer those buyers right now. It's a really great thing that we need to be as far as real estate professionals. We need to be out communicating this message that interest rates are in a much better place, that prices are leveling off, and that right now is a great time to jump into the market. You don't have to wait till the first part of next year. As a matter of fact, if you do wait until the first part of the next year, all these folks are going to be jumping in together. We're looking at more activity happening next year. And when there's more buyers jumping in, we always see the prices start to move around, because residential real estate is heavily based on supply versus demand. So hope you have a great day. Thanks so much for all you do. Get out there and get it done. Bye, everybody.